evening and welcome to the latest episode of the Back Bar podcast. As always, joined with these two handsome stallions, Johnny Red, Skywalker. Lads, how we doing?
Top of the morning to you.
To be sure.
What has been going on? What's been happening? Anything exciting?
As you, oh, from the accents, you may have guessed both of us spent a fair chunk of our Easter in Ireland. Not together, sadly.
Yeah, I know. So we're probably about 4 stone heavier than what we should be.
We had to hang out with our wives instead.
Ugh. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Uh,
Yeah, I genuinely think I drank more Guinness the week I was there than I had the rest of my life.
We can put that
It's,
to the next time I see you.
are you one of these people that go like that? It tastes different over there.
No, I just never used to drink Guinness. I only started drinking it like as a drink of preference during the Six Nations when I was watching a few games with my dad.
Must
So
admit,
as soon as it's in Ireland, I was like, oh, this is good.
it was a game changer for me, drinking Guinness, because I was drinking lager, just bloat you, whereas Guinness,
Mm.
just sink it. Now, don't get me wrong, you feel like you've had 4 Christmas dinners after about 5 of them, but yeah, it's a game changer. But there's guys that just drink like easily. I know guys in Ireland that will drink like 15 pints of Guinness over there.
Yeah.
Like it's just they'll just swamp them.
Yeah, they probably don't need to eat the rest of the day.
It's probably true. So, they're like, don't get me wrong, these guys are not athletes. They're not. Yeah, they're not like that. Not
Oh, I
like
checked.
marathon runners.
That guy's been going to a PT for a few weeks. He's
I
getting on
know.
his flex early.
I
Yeah, you
know.
know, whatever. Just
You look different, Minnie. Is there anything different about you? I don't know. Something's just not quite right.
nothing that you
You
can
just,
see.
you just look slightly more streamlined or something. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
like an aerodynamic look. I don't know what that is.
I had a shaving accident.
Okay, tell us more, please.
Right, so obviously going to the PT, like I want to see changes. Obviously, super impatient. I think after one session, I'm going to have like fucking abs and shit, right? Which I don't. Disappointing. But I was like, right, I need to be able to see it, but I'm quite a hairy person, so I thought I'll just
Feel you.
like, sit down so that I can, so I can see a bit of definition as and when it comes in, which hopefully be tomorrow morning. Fingers crossed. So I got the clippers, and they've got the wee body clipper bit on it. I thought that'll be a good length. That'll be nice and like neat. One bit up the middle, and I was bald as a fucking coon. So I had to just go through the rest of the front at the same length, and now do you know the only way I can describe myself is, do you remember Entourage when they had their pal Dom, that big guy from jail, and he kicked
Yeah.
about and he looked shite and bald? That's what my body looked like.
So, but wait, have you shaved your back as well? So you don't look like a carpet, do you? So you've got like
No,
a shroud of.
mate, I am sleek right now. Like honestly, I think this should be the perfect. I feel like a porpoise. I should be swimming. Like I'd be like fucking
Goliath.
aerodynamic Michael Phelps or Mark Phelps, or the fuck that guy's called.
Mark Phelps.
To be fair, the size of you could be like a wee skipping stone with just like.
What, you think you can throw me about? You'd like that, wouldn't you? Aye.
Oh,
I don't know whether I'll end up with carpet burn on me or something like that. It'd be like.
Honestly,
So,
this is
what were you talking about getting thrown about here? Now we're getting carpet burns.
What,
Right, sorry.
what were you not talking about?
Anyway,
taking a turn already, right, lads?
There we go.
So have a good evening. Great to see you. Yeah, so that's the highlight. But more to the point, let's get off my body here, or lack of it at the moment. Where were you this weekend, Ali? Anywhere exciting?
My lord. I don't know if it's.
my lord.
Oh my lord! I don't know if this is you know allowed to be aired. So anyway, yeah, I was on a stag do at the weekend over in sunny Madrid, and it was fucking
Nice.
roasting as well. Like, I think it was only about 20 degrees, but my body thought it was about 120 degrees. But it was good. My mate Nick Burke, he's getting married in about a month's time. And of all the stag do's, you think, how a stag gets abused on their stag and it's fucking awful for them. Now, he took the absolute biscuit, because on the first day he ended up with food poisoning. So spent the
Oh,
entire trip in his room. I'm not joking yet. I'm saying, let's say 1 to 100 of the times that he spent it, he probably about 5% he actually was out his room. He would come out, see the boys, and then have to literally just go straight back.
That's shit. And it's also really bad for whoever he was sharing a room with. And
So his brother got a bit of food poisoning as well, but he kind of seemed to get over it within the next day. He literally just not to give too much away, but he was like, I said to him on the airport on Sunday, I was like, mate, how you doing? He's like, oh my god, just I look great, and he's like, I think I've got piles now as well.
I was going to say, see if he was struggling that much to get on the plane, what he's doing, stuffing him with socks just to make sure that there's no fucking.
You know that way when you see someone who's probably like, got about 100 grams of cocaine shoved up their arse and they're just sweating.
I've not seen that many.
Seen those guys. Well, they look like they don't want to go on an airplane, and that was his eyes were big, and he was like, oh, as he was like handing over his passport, he was like, I don't know if this is a good idea. But I just had images on my head of like just having to do, a sudden nosedive into Paris or something like on the toilet.
Code brown in the air.
I fell for the guy.
That's rotten, man.
It was rough, and he's a tough guy. Like he's not the kind of guy that would just be shying away from it. He would power through anything. I fell for the big guy, but. On my part, I absolutely kicked the arse out it. So, I'm off the drink. Like where I'm on tea tonight. It's probably only the second podcast where I've not drank, but I'm just about holding down water right now. So tea for me at the moment.
I'm on the Diet Cokes.
Very nice.
True story. Like.
What about you, John?
What am I drinking?
What are you drinking?
At the moment, actually a can of Coca-Cola. But I also have
Phil.
Also have a little something that
also have a wee splash of the exotic
in relation to our upcoming guests. Actually, guests.
Well, you get a plural. This is we've only done this how many times done this? Emma and Rory.
This will be our third time.
Brycey and
Adam. And Adam Ash, yeah, of course.
So
this is the third lucky number 3. So a few clues kicking about, you can see. So obviously we've held up the glass. And there's also this wee bad boy here. This is some proper product placement, lads. So I'm
trying to point to mine, but I can't work out where my hand's going. There we go.
We have Ally and Gordon Stevenson, who are the co-founders of the new kid on the block in the whiskey scene, blended whiskey scene, Turntable Spirits, and in this case, Turntable Whisky, track 1. So, obviously, I don't know about you guys, but everything I've seen in social media is fucking all of them, articles in the Sun, everything, loads of shit going on. So, I thought it's probably a good time to get them on before they become turbo famous, like those Brewdog guys. And
don't want to talk to us.
A wee chat, yeah. Well, I mean, of course they're going to talk to us regardless, but.
Yeah, I've got naked pictures of Ali, so he's talking to me, or else they're getting posted on my wall.
Is that get the ones in your wallet blown up to the wall?
Yeah, actually, I don't know if I won't tell the story. I'll tell. Never mind.
That's maybe for one when you're back on the sauce, Ali.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we'll maybe do. I'll tell the story when we have a meeting, a team meeting, and then we'll maybe do another thing.
Maybe do a turntable after dark.
Yeah.
Oof, that sounds really seedy, man.
Turn the tape.
Yeah, we'll do an episode when we're all absolutely fucking blazing squads. That'll be fun.
I don't think I'm ever going
not for everyone else. For us, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, why don't we get these guys on and let's hear what they've got to say.
That's good.
Super.
Cool. So, as promised, up next is we welcome the two Stevenson brothers, co-founders of Turntable Spirits, and obviously the guys that have been the brains behind this bad boy, Turntable Whisky, track 1. What's it called again? Joy, Discovery, and Invention. Biffy Clyro?
That's right, mate.
Biffy Clyro. So, Ali, Gordon, welcome to the back bar. How are we doing, lads?
Very well, thanks. Yeah, it's nice to be on. Long time listener, so never thought we'd
Yeah,
actually be
exactly.
featuring. So
Never missed an episode, right?
absolutely.
just those big, deep,
all the
dulcet
ones.
tones.
All the episodes. So yeah, just before we get started, obviously you guys have just had your launch and stuff. Pretty hectic first couple of weeks. So how are we feeling?
Yeah, really good actually. It's all gone as well as we could have hoped for sure. Naturally, there's a few hiccups in the background that nobody sees, or hopefully nobody sees. But
They
I think
might
we're
not
working our
see
way
it.
through that.
They might not see it, but can they hear about it?
No, it was just it was the only thing was actually the initial day we were due to bottle. I was driving along the M8 on our way to the bottling, got a blowout front tire. I had to phone 999 because I was blocking part of the M8. Then stood there as the policeman blocked the road off as I changed the tire, which was seriously stressful. Had to pretend like I knew what I was doing, but I got there. For him then to tell me that the tire that I was putting on was illegal, so that was good.
Oh,
That's
so he
let me off. He let me off so I could go around the corner to put another new tire on. All the while in doing so, messaging the bottlers to say, going to be a bit late. Said, don't worry, I think we might have an issue here too.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Shit.
So yeah, basically we had some faulty glass that got delivered, so we couldn't. The first bottle we had to do a take 2 because we literally couldn't put the labels on the glass without them creasing. So unfortunately we got pushed back a week, but it could have been a lot longer.
Jeez, man.
So what did they have to do? Just send you a whole heap of new bottles then?
We're actually getting the replacement glass in.
It arrived on Monday.
It came in this week, so the rest of the bottling is going through starting next week. So we managed to, from some friends in the industry source who were sitting on the same kind of bottle, we managed to rally round and get some replacement bottles. So we got about 60% of what we really required and managed to get on with the initial bottling. And then the replacements have just come in now. So that was kind of an unnecessary stressful start. But yeah, we kind of managed to get through it quite well. But I remember I texted Gordon, I was up north and you were going to the bottling, and I texted him to say, how's it going? And you said you've got a tyre blowout. I said, that can't be a good sight.
Coincidentally, that car is now up for sale if anyone.
It's still on the
M8. You just pick it up. Yeah.
You should hang it in the turntable office.
Fucking big as an office, man.
We get
two bedroom flat, mate.
It's a car tire. It's not that big.
Oh, the tire.
Oh, you meant the car?
I thought you meant the car.
So does that mean if the glass was fucked for the first couple, does this mean this is even more limited edition?
I suppose currently, yeah.
So what if there's only about this much left of the
Do you want it back?
I know. Do you want the bottle back? It's like because he's almost done with the contents.
I think the best thing you could possibly do is drink up and buy another.
Yeah. Sounded nice.
Consider me told, man. Like,
I mean, how and why did you guys get into the whiskey business then? Let's take us back.
Yeah, well, Ali got in the business just before I did. So
yeah, I was I don't know, I guess I was kind of curious from quite a young age. So Dad has worked in the industry for a long time, and it's I don't know, it's one of these kind of unusual industries where it's really collaborative. It's not quite as cutthroat between the different companies and things. There's this sort of unique situation where everybody is bought into this kind of bigger mission of growing the industry of Scotch whisky, or growing the brand of Scotch whisky around the world. And I don't know, I was always dead curious and taken by it. So out of uni, I went straight into a job at Benriach Distillery Company, and that was kind of making tea for the guy who made the coffee type thing. And I don't know, yeah, I've been in it ever since. So 10 years later, still working in it. And I don't know, it's one of these industries you sort of learn something new every day. And I think Dad would kind of say as well, with his generation, no matter when any of his lot got into the industry, it's quite rare any of them left it. They always really enjoyed it. It's quite a fun place to work.
Yeah, a lot of people, they might move around a wee bit, but it's always kind of within the industry, isn't it? Yeah, and I got into it more after uni, and then I was golfing a bit and having a bit of a go at that without really knowing what I wanted to do, doing a bit of other things just to keep my CV in check. When I finally came to the realization that golf was not going to be a profession. Took me a while, but could have been a lot quicker, really. Yeah, not good enough, and it's a hobby, not a profession for me. So I didn't enjoy it enough. But then, I don't know, I was just kind of looking around, and it was actually Inverhouse where Dad was at the time, and he said to me, like, this job's come up that's, I don't know what you think, but have a read of it. And I was always like, I do not want to follow what Dad's doing. I do not want to work with Dad. And I read that. I mean, bugger. It's the only job description I read where I was like, that's actually what I want to do. So I applied and I got lucky. And then it's, as you said, I was there for 9 years.
Never look back.
Worked out all right
But I think the good thing with the whiskey industry is because it's global. You both have got to do some amazing traveling. So it's like I think you've been pretty much east to west with your traveling.
Yeah. Between us, Ali's done east and I've done west.
It's kind of unusual the way it's happened that way. That in terms of international markets and things, Gordon was very much North America, so Canada, the US, and then he did quite a lot in the Middle East and Africa and Scandinavia and things. And then I've been very much Europe and Asia and Australia and New Zealand as well. So in a weird way, we do have quite
the
breadth there. But yeah, obviously that was never intended. But now that we're working on our own project together, it's kind of nice that the two align so well.
Yeah.
That's class.
But yeah, I don't know, really fortunate to have done some of these trips, and a lot of the time, I don't know if you can imagine it, but when you go and visit these places, the people that you meet there after a few visits, you can become quite good friends, and it's nice. Like I would say, a lot of the time they take real pride in trying to show you the place in a way that you wouldn't usually get to see it as a tourist. So you can get a really good feel for some of these places, and it's the same way if any of these guys came across to Glasgow, I'd always like go out of my way to try and show the absolute best of Glasgow, get them down to Ibrox and things like that.
And that brings us to the end of tonight's podcast.
That took all what? 8 minutes?
That's it. He's had one whiskey and he's starting already.
Yeah. Is there any of the places you've been in particular standout actually?
I mean, there's loads for their own reasons. I've always got a soft spot for Canada because I spent a lot of time working that market and actually built up some really good connections and relationships there. And it's amazing how different it can be from right the way over to Vancouver, and then you're into like Montreal and Quebec where it's all French. There's real differences there. But I'd say probably because that's the market that I handled the longest as well, that it's one that comes back.
Yeah.
And I think it was actually the first market that was my own to look after as well. So it's
okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, there's like obviously there's loads of places you really like going to, and parts of Europe I love, but getting out to some of the Asian markets was always good because it's just so different, and their love for Scotch whiskey and things in that part of the world is really, really cool to see. So I don't know, like Taiwan and Japan in particular probably really stand out. Taiwan's like cool, really, I don't know, vibrant kind of party place, but I remember the first time I came there, or I got there, you got off the plane and went into the city, and you'd see huge billboards across these buildings and things like that, where it's like faces of the Scotch whiskey industry, and like some of these people you knew as like vendors and things like that, and you think it's so bizarre. Like they'd be on buildings the way you'd see like David Beckham in an advert here, and you think these guys holding a glass of Scotch whiskey, if they saw this, they would think this is the weirdest thing in the world. But some of that's pretty cool. But even in Japan and stuff, kind of stands out as well. The food and the culture and things is really cool, and I always thought the people, I don't know, they're just so welcoming, and they always go out their way to help you. So, like, even when I first arrived in Japan, the airport in Tokyo was a long way from the city, and I probably stood out like a sore thumb just trying to read my Google Maps and work out how to pay for anything, what train to take and things. And
Your wee
within
camera around your neck.
exactly. But within like 30 seconds, there's somebody over, like, not working or anything, just member of the public over talking to you, trying to help you get to where you need to go to the ticket place with you, and just going out of their way to make sure everything's cool. And I don't know, I thought it was a really good place.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's nice places for the air miles as well. Like, you're not talking about it's not like your favorite place is fucking Bristol, like Canada and Taiwan. Like.
Yeah, exactly. Quite literally polar opposites. But so, kind of going into the business side of things. Obviously, the last few years has been up and down. There's been COVID. There's been energy crisis, war in Ukraine. Business side. How has this affected like the whiskey business? Or has it affected the whiskey business?
It's booming.
Everyone's stuck at home getting smashed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same with lots of these things, I guess. Like at the start of the pandemic, you thought it was going to be really tough times and you didn't know how things were going to unfold. And the one thing, I don't know, we'd all probably easily believe is that through the good times and the bad times, people still tend to drink.
Yeah.
But it's what they drink that kind of changes. So I assumed that with money being tight and real crisis mode, that everybody would go to sort of cheaper products. But the exact opposite happened. Like nobody could go on holiday, nobody could spend money going to restaurants, going out with their friends and things. So they tended to treat themselves in different ways and premiumized what they drank. And so single malt did really, really well. But I'd say like some of it was also kind of weirdly related to what channels the different businesses were in. So like if some of the products would be doing very well in the on-trade, so like the bars and restaurants and things, and that would be their focus. So obviously their business would suffer, and it was very difficult as like all the bars and restaurants closed. And obviously some that were working the travel retail, so like the airports and things, that totally vanished overnight as well. But if you are well set up in online spaces and specialist wine and spirit stores and things, I say you did very, very well through the pandemic. And yeah, the sort of surge and boom continues to roll on so far.
Cool.
Yeah, because it kind of makes sense that if people weren't going out and couldn't spend money on holidays, it's like, well, you'll be stuck at home, you may as well get hammered on nice stuff.
See, I was stupid though. Like I'm listening to you say that. I wish you explained that to me 3 years ago. I went and bought a fucking Peloton, and it's sitting here doing fuck all. Yeah, just looking at me going, "Hi." I'm like,
I'm the other side of that as well, man. I just spent all my money on fucking Just Eat. If you just told me that, I could have ate less, drank more, had a better appreciation for whiskey, and not have put on fucking 2 stone. So
yeah, exactly.
I like the regret of not drinking enough, though. That's great.
I've learned my lesson. I'll be back on it tomorrow. Don't worry. That Peloton. We can put Gordon's car and my Peloton up for just a 2
Peloton will be worth a lot more than a car.
I was thinking you might as well put that car tire on the Peloton.
You could fetch a pretty penny, Ali. Rarely used Peloton.
Comes with a tire.
Mind you, you bought it on such a good deal. Would you even get your money back, Ali?
Who knows?
That's for Lorna.
That's for Lorna to do. Yeah. Oh yeah. The fur is like 500 quid. She'd be like, "Oh, it's nothing. We'll just keep it." All right. Okay.
Anyway, indeed.
Anyway.
So both of you in the whiskey industry for the best part of a decade or just over a decade, both in pretty good jobs. Then the idea for Turntable Whisky comes along, or Turntable Spirits. What made you decide that was the way to go, to leave some pretty good jobs and take the punt on yourselves?
I think part of that was we always had this ambition to work together, first and foremost. at some stage, and we'd never had the opportunity. So it was kind of a when and how, rather than so it was going to happen, and it probably happened a little bit quicker than we would have imagined. So back in 2020, we started to acquire some casks and started to lay them down. We started buying right at the start of 2020. And that was just as a kind of, we're going to want to do something at some stage. And then there was more Ally that kind of came up with on the branding side. And then what and how. And I think that the kind of main idea behind Turntable was through discussions where, going back to us traveling the world, there's always this perception that single malt is best. And we just want to challenge that and say why. And so blending allows us the opportunity, and it's that we think it's an area of Scotch whisky that doesn't get the credit that it's due. So we thought, and there's a gap there. So that was where we wanted to really explore. So we kind of knew we were going down that kind of blending route, and then it was just how.
Yeah, exactly. I guess, it was kind of pandemic related as well on the timing, in that we thought for a long time we want to find a way to work together, the sort of thing that we want to do. And then in a way the pandemic hit, and it was kind of the kick up the backside to get things rolling in a way. I was actually changing job at the time, so I was going from Glenallachie and starting with Brewdog Distilling, and my start date was 1st of April 2020 at Brewdog, which, April Fool's Day, sort of classic Brewdog, and like right at the kickoff of the pandemic, and ended up like a really uncertain period, and it didn't quite know if the job was still going to be there, what was going to happen. It sort of full of uncertainty, which was the same for many people at that time. But I don't know, I just hated that feeling and thought never really want to be in this position again. And whilst you can feel very safe and solid in the bigger companies and the jobs that you have, I still feel much more in control when we are in control. So it was a weird thing. Yeah.
So that's the pandemic brought two good things, lads. Turntable and the back bar, because that was exactly what
exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And obviously we are rolling in the money and all the royalties that we get from the podcast. So
well, me and Minnie, our game will get shafted every month. So the name Turntable, is there a story behind that?
I guess so. So it was kind of a few ways that it came about. So it wasn't the first choice name. There was a couple of other names sort of floating around, and there was trying to find a good idea that isn't already taken and is available for trademark and stuff is more difficult than I think Gordon and I expected it to be. But I don't know, like a sort of second love of ours is always really been music. I don't know, I think there's this strange, or this similarity between whiskey and music that's kind of interesting. They both have this sort of ability to take you to a different place or a different time, that if you close your eyes and take a sip of whiskey, or if you close your eyes and put a certain song on, it just has this weird ability to transport you somewhere completely different. So I think the idea of just having a bit of synergy between whiskey and music was cool. And then also our whole sort of plan for the company was, as Gordon said, to sort of try and challenge the perception that blends are inferior to single malts. So the idea was almost to turn the table, flip the record on ordinary, do something different in the space of Scotch whisky. So that's where it was born out of.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because you can even see in like the branding looks so different to anything else you really see on the whiskey shelves.
We definitely went down that route, that we didn't want to be. We wanted to, nods to the traditions of Scotch whisky, in that we're sourcing whisky from these amazing distilleries all across Scotland, and it's such an important aspect of everything we do. But at the same time, we want to really show that there's so much more and make it more inviting, more appealing. And one thing that we see a lot of is in the world whiskies now, they're really challenging that on the design and look and feel. So we really went down that route to kind of create a bit more of that world whiskey into Scotch whiskey. And then, we're trying to, a lot of the kind of traditional brands will talk you through kind of flavor notes and detailed tasting notes, where we're trying to almost do that through the illustrations as well. So kind of just by looking at it, you're kind of starting to get a feel of what kind of line you might taste.
Yeah.
So it's just nice on the whole branding and packaging as well, to be able to really step a bit away from that tradition and do something modern, bold, stand out on the shelf. I think within Scotch whisky there is a bit of a fear to step away from that because it's been so successful. And in fairness, like so many of these companies in Scotch whisky as well have such amazing history, and the brands have been around so long and have so much success that do a radical rebrand it would be a huge risk. You lose all the credibility that you built up. So there's an opportunity for us to go in with a really fresh outlook right at the start.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously we've kind of spoken, touched on the saying that the single malts are the best. For those are the novices, because obviously everything I know about whiskey I've learned from you two. So for those that don't understand what it is that you're actually doing, because everyone always thinks whiskey that there's a big massive distillery sitting there, and that's where the whiskey comes from. So I don't know if you could just explain exactly where your whiskey comes from.
Sure. So I guess looking at the different categories, so a single malt is effectively whiskey coming from one distillery. So it can be from lots of different casks from that one distillery, but in pot stills from one location, one place. Whereas blending would be whiskies coming from different distilleries and can be a mixture of both grain whiskies and malt whiskies. So Gordon and I, when we talk about sourcing whiskey from around the industry, we've been buying different casks of whiskey from different distilleries around Scotland.
Yeah, just on that, one of the big things within and what makes the industry so unique as well is if you think of a lot of these big brands, they always have their blends. So the industry is unique in that everyone is trading with each other casks because they need them for the makeup of their blends.
Right.
So whilst you're using just your own, you're actually using others too.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of the industry that people don't see is the kind of behind the scenes. There's a lot of trades going on, what the value of each stock is like, what the value of each cask is like. So there is to a degree, there is access to a lot of different things. A lot of the big guys just a lot of distilleries in general they'll trade, but they're also protecting their brands. So you're really careful. So that a lot of them come with a lot of restrictions and rules and what you can and can't do with them.
Right.
So, which is great because the industry is so heavily governed by the Scotch Whisky Association, which definitely is one of the things that makes it so unique.
Yeah, but so I mean, I guess on our process though, like we would be buying casks from different distilleries around Scotland, but then a really big part of what we do is the wood management. So a lot of the time, I would say the whiskey that we're buying is really good quality spirit, but probably hasn't been sitting in the best quality casks for the right amount of time. Well, a big part of what we've been doing over the last 3 years is actually taking the whiskey out of the original cask that we bought it in and re-racking it and putting the whiskey into good quality wood that we're bringing in from mainly Spain and the States, and then leaving it for about 3 years or so. So when Gordon and I spoke about a project and doing something together, even in 2020, we knew the earliest we could possibly, or we would be happy to release our whiskey would be 2023 because we needed that time and getting the whiskey into the cask that we're really happy with to get the quality to a point that we would put in a bottle and put on the shelf. So the wood management is really key. And then obviously we're doing sort of small batch blending. So working with whiskies in the different casks coming from different distilleries around Scotland and blending in small batches to try and be innovative and create the best flavors we possibly can. And it's, I would say we're taking a lot from the world of single malt in terms of the attention to detail. So things like we bottle at a slightly higher strength, so 46% alcohol. We do everything natural color, non-chill filtered. really long marrying times for the blend and things. So really putting the quality at the front of what we do, but trying to take the innovation and the flavor development that blending allows you that you maybe wouldn't get in single malt. So that's kind of the process.
That's pretty cool. So, will you ever have the issue? Say, obviously, the other companies are blending whiskies as well. Is there ever going to be a crossover, or do you have to be very careful with what you're doing, or register what whiskies you're blending?
No, so not exactly. So Gordon sort of mentioned some of the time where when we're buying the whiskies, it would come with certain restrictions. So the cool thing about the first 3 limited releases we put out there is that we can be really transparent on the label and give the exact percentages of each whiskey, which distillery it came from, which cask it was in, and give like the complete breakdown. Some of the times the stock that we're buying, the companies and the distilleries would prefer it to remain unnamed so that they can have full control over their own brand and things. So there's times that we need to be a little careful what we're doing on that, but when we can be transparent, we love being transparent.
Yeah.
Right, so they're not worrying about you creating something similar to their range or their market.
No, and I mean, one of the things that we want to celebrate as well is like the art of some of these big brands and what they can do blending wise. Like Johnny Walker Black is an amazing dram. The volume that they sell globally and the ability to keep the consistency is amazing. There's such an art to being able to be that consistent with so much. So we're kind of saying, well done, guys. You're able to do that. We can't do that because we don't have the access to that. So we're actually trying to celebrate the fact that we're not going to be consistent. And it's
small batch, it's quality led. So each time I would say if certain other blenders come across some really amazing casks and things, if they can't recreate that flavor experience and make it consistently, they probably choose not to do it. Whereas Gordon and I will never be bound by that. We would always put the quality first, and if it means we can only make, I don't know, 100 bottles or something, we're still going to do it. And each time we bottle, we'll make the best whiskey we possibly can, and consistency won't play as big a part in what we're trying to do. It'll just be quality focused.
What range is small batch then? Because you're saying like if you're only able to make 100, is it like maybe up to a couple of thousand? Or
no, I mean 100's exaggerating, I guess. So that would be a particularly small batch. So each of those first 3 limited editions globally, we've done around 1,500 bottles of each.
Yes, about 1,500.
Okay.
I mean, it varies very slightly from one to the next, but all of them are close to the 1,500 bottle mark.
Right. Okay.
We can see 2 of them, so there's.
Yeah, you're just.
There you go, Skywalker. There's 1,498 left. Hurry up.
That's it. I'll probably be back on it by the weekend, so you might need to get a new batch made.
Not just a plug, but it's been a good start. We have from our end pretty much sold through the UK stock, so there's nothing left at our side.
I'll be honest, I felt like a fucking cheerleader when I went into good spirit.
I know them.
You said it was like the Wednesday, it was just getting launched as I was in town anyway, going for a nice relaxing flotation tank. So after that, I was like, right, I'm going in to buy that whiskey. And
drama.
And but the guy was talking to some other women, and I just seen the bottles. Actually, I sent you a wee picture, and I was like, oh, here we go. And then I was like to the guys, like, I put it down the table, and I was expecting him to ask me something. And I was like, can I stand in there? And I was like, what do you make of this? He was like, what do you mean? I was like, it's my friends. I was like, what's the thoughts? And the first thing he actually said was the fact that you've got the breakdown of the whiskey. He's like, that's really, it's really rare in the industry. Blah blah blah. That's £140. That's all right, man. So yeah. I told everyone in my work about it, and I was literally like, I walked out and I had it like my wee bag, and I was just like, I was expecting someone to come and talk to me about it.
Get interviewed outside the shop.
There's a good probability that you were our first ever person to buy.
It must have been about 11:30.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah.
That's serious dedication.
1 of 1. I wish I hadn't fucking drank it now, man.
No, remember that mission. Drink more. That was the mission.
Okay.
That should be your slogan when you get a Taiwan advert. Just be like, put your face in there, just drink more, no responsibility.
Turntable endorsing responsible drinking in Taiwan.
Oh dear. Oh my god.
What's the like? I guess kind of going back, not to overly focus on the branding then, but I mean, is part of that? Is it to try and make whiskey more appealing to a kind of wider demographic? Or I don't know why I had to put my arms like that there to signify wider.
Didn't show there.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what we wanted to do as well. Is we believe that whiskey is a drink for everyone. So it's like we want to make it more accessible and kind of break down that, the historical approach that it's old man's drink, and it's just not the case. It's for everyone. So I think, and if you want to drink it with ice, if you want to drink it in a cocktail, do whatever you want. That's the way we kind of see it. Like, I mean, one of the laws in Scotch whiskey is like you have to be at 40%. Like, when do we, like, growing up, drink anything at 40%? You don't. So, and if you do it, it's like the closest you get is like a shot which you hate.
Yeah.
So, like, your palate's not used to it. So people that tell you they love Scotch whiskey from the start, there's a good chance they're lying.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of like, you got to kind of grow into it and become like, build up. So it's like there's nothing wrong with like watering it down and then gradually you take less and less or whatever until your palate can now handle it effectively, like it understands it.
Yeah, because there's still some whiskies that I've tried like that. I wouldn't name it, but there's one that you gave me, and I honestly thought I was having a stroke when I had it, man. Like everything else, I'm like, this is cool, and this one I took, and I was like, oh my god, I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever drunk in my life. I was like, I can't deal with this. Like,
there's nothing wrong with that as well. Like, there are things like
definitely wasn't Turntable.
You just don't like.
No. Yeah.
Just to put that out there.
I don't drink anything else now, right? So that's it.
No, it's funny when you ask about this sort of target group, though. There is a thing that Gordon and I sort of discussed, even like in our sort of group of friends. Like, everybody wants to learn more about whiskey and ask us, and we almost have our own group where we share bottles and share advice and things like that. And I think making it more interesting and accessible to
that is the target, isn't it?
Group was in a way a target. So like the branding and things, certainly a way to make it more accessible to people coming into the industry. But at the same time, I think it was really important that we wanted to be credible and appreciated by the sort of whiskey aficionados as well, and the novices and aficionados alike. So I feel like the shelf stand out and the branding is really good, but if a very knowledgeable whiskey consumer picked up the bottle and the packaging, they would see the quality credentials there, that it is at the higher strength of alcohol, that it is color non-chill filter, that it gives the blend breakdown, and actually they would think, these guys know what they're doing. So hopefully we can capture both sides.
Excellent. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, for a final question from us, so I know you've been having a bit of a grill, and to be fair, you've handled it really, really well. So, where the question is, so where do you see the business in 5 years?
Oh, well, I think we were talking about this earlier. Like aspirationally, we would love to have, like in the UK, have our own premises, like a small warehouse where we can do our own blending, possibly our own bottling as well. So we can do our own re-racking, like Ali talked about. So we really take more control, and we wouldn't be going big there, but like the ability to do like couple hundred casks, it's where we can have total control over that. And other than that, just selling it everywhere.
Yeah. That sounds it. From Canada to Taiwan.
I think it could be in both those places by the end of the year, or they should be. So we're looking.
That's amazing.
Bristol, though, that's the big one. The Bristol market.
Bristol.
Still working on that one.
So when you know you've hit the big time.
That's it.
I guess just kind of on that, when you're talking about premises, with music having been that kind of influence on the brand, the turntable idea, would you ever think of expanding the business to having your kind of own turntable bar venue type place?
it's not. I mean, it's not something we've really thought of in terms of
Yeah.
having our own bar and stuff. But the synergy is definitely cool with the music and the sort of vinyl records and stuff. So two of the sort of customers we're working with quite closely in the UK. So Good Spirits Company in Glasgow and Hard to Find Whiskey down south. They both of those locations used to be vinyl record shops. So when we sort of mentioned the whole idea and turntable and stuff, they're sort of very quickly getting on board with it and love the sort of synergy there. But I think, yeah, loads of people buy into that music connection in different ways. One of the other guys down in Dumfries Dram Busters, they did a sort of window display when we launched that we never really knew anything about until they did it, and they brought in their own vinyl record player from home and scattered records around and put all the turntable bottles up in the window and things. And I thought it's just awesome to get people like passionately doing things off their own back because they really buy into it. So
it must be so surreal for you guys though, like, so, you know, having this idea way back and then all of a sudden without your input there's a shop that's just got your product in the window, man. That's class.
It's quite surreal.
It's a strange thing. Like, I'm definitely aware for the two of us, you can easily sort of let these moments slip past just in terms of thinking what's next to do and sort of being lost and just keep driving things forward. But when you actually sort of sit back and see you guys with a bottle sitting behind you and things, you think, wow, it's been a long time to get to this stage. So it's really awesome to actually see people pouring it into a glass, and really cool.
That's very cool. It is, it's such an awesome achievement. So well done, guys.
Thanks, mate.
And it is really. I've genuinely only opened my bottle to pour this tonight. It's actually I'm tasting it live. And I haven't screwed up my face at all.
You want to swap bottles, mate? I've only got a little bit, so. What about the celebrity endorsements? What's going on? Where are they? Who are they? Who have you got?
Celebrity endorsements. Oh, still working away at the Biffy Clyro one as hard as we can.
That would be nice.
That's cool.
If you need anybody from the fire protection industry, just let me know. I'll hook you up. So, to be fair,
we'll get Alan.
Yeah, it's full of reprobates. I probably wouldn't really recommend it, to be honest.
We'll go through our back catalogue. See that music reference? Back catalogue of guests, and we can start introducing it there. Who was the guy over in America? Nate Boyer. He was into his whiskey, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was a big whiskey.
He's still not got his Chris Pratt, so we're falling out with him. So
he would do.
That's a good place to start.
But Nate will send you 2 bottles as long as you send one to Chris Pratt and get him to do something with it.
If he doesn't like it, just tell him to shut the fuck up, man. Himself. Sweet. So, what are we thinking? The guy's taking enough of a grilling, do you think?
Yeah, I think
so. Give a wee rest.
Done well.
Okay.
Let them judge us.
In that case, we'll move into heroes and zeros, lads, right? Because we've got 2 fantastic guests. One of you is going to take heroes, one is going to take zeros, and you're going to judge our mediocre suggestions. Flash, as the older brother, you get choice. Would you want heroes or zeros?
I'll go the zeros. I'll let Ali have the heroes.
Okay, cool. In that case, Ali, are you wanting to go first or second?
Go first.
What did you say you're doing?
Heroes.
Heroes, right, okay. So, Game will kick us off, man. Who have you got as your hero?
Okay, so this one is a 6-year-old kid called Oscar from Lancaster.
I know, here we go.
He's cool.
Sorry. Carry on.
Let me guess, he had life-saving surgery, and he saved 20 kids in a burning building. Right, next. Right.
Okay, right, on to Ali. So he has so far climbed 10 out of the 12 highest peaks in the UK, and his total fundraising so far is 30 grand, I think, for a hospice that provides funding for families with kids with life-limiting illnesses to go on holiday. He just did Cairngorm last week, I think it was, and he's going to finish it at the end of May with climbing Ben Nevis, and that'll be him done the 12 highest peaks within a year. For a 6-year-old is insanely impressive, and raising that amount of money at the same time. I just thought it was a pretty cool story.
How old is this young guy?
6. Does them with his dad. He doesn't do them solo. That would be a little bit irresponsible of the parents.
Also
6 years.
takes a sign off that he's not solo. Anyway,
It's not solo. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. All right. Okay.
Skywalker, what have you got, man?
I know. I don't even know if this is even worth saying now because it's anyway.
I remember last time I thought mine were duds and I
Yeah.
had a clean sweep.
Right.
So, you know.
So only just last night, I watched the Lewis Capaldi thing on Netflix, his documentary, and now I was never a fan of him. Not really a fan of his music. Not really a fan of him personally. Just think he was kind of cocky and just I don't know, just wasn't my cup of tea. But anyway, watched the documentary, forced to by my wife. That was I didn't choose to do it, but I was really kind of taken with his outlook on life and how insecure he is as a person. And probably a lot of things in his public life is probably a persona that he puts on. But it goes on that he has this, what he classes a twitch through it. So every time he goes to a public appearance, he starts saying, I've got this twitch, I've got this twitch. And it really does affect him. And he's trying to, pardon me, do his second album. And it shows the stress that he's under and how it really affects his mental health. And eventually, obviously, it leads on, and the twitch gets worse and worse and worse, and they have to abort doing the album for 2 months. But what I really liked about it was his raw outtake on life and what he was doing and how he dealt with it. Like it never really affected him. He was still doing all his talk shows, and even his manager sat him down after one of the talk shows and said that was so difficult to watch you right now. But he kept pushing on. So he's my hero because one, he changed my opinion of him. And 2, his raw kind of allowing the public to kind of see this real side of him. So and dealing with mental health and stuff like that as well. So he gets the tip of the cap for me this week.
And 3 driving into Scrooge McDuck's swimming pool of money.
Yeah, that's true. So, but it's not all about the money when it comes to Netflix.
I know. I actually quite like the guy.
Yeah. So, right, Jamesy, what have you got?
Well, it's not Lewis Capaldi. I've actually went. Well, it's a company I went for, but I don't know who owns the company, so I'm just going to call it. It's Sainsbury's, right? So we'll just say John Sainsbury, right? Whoever owns Sainsbury's.
That's actually his.
Is it?
No.
Right. So basically, in the last 18 months, they've just published the fact that they have saved 4,500 tons of food going to waste by donating it to charity. So it works out at in 18 months they've served 10 million meals to like less fortunate people while also reducing food waste across their chains. And I think given everything's a bit shit at the moment and there's a lot of heartache, I thought it was actually nice to see a company trying to give something back. So Sainsbury's got John Sainsbury, he's my hero this week.
Excellent.
That's some pretty good ones this week, actually.
Yeah, good ones. Good luck, Al.
Yeah, some top heroes, boys, but I think Big Gemel knows how to pull at the old heartstrings.
I know, he's at it again. There's no way a 6-year-old is climbing fucking mountains.
Didn't tell you.
The fact that Minnie actually gave the exact description of what was going to happen before
I can say one every week.
No, I think I don't know. I think the Lewis Capaldi one's great show, but not seen it, and I still find him a bit moany in the old music and the songs. So
yeah,
I need to give it a watch, and I'm sure he'll change my opinion too. But and the Sainsbury's one, 10 million meals is just insane in class. But I still feel these are guys so doing what they're meant to do, whereas a six-year-old kid climbing mountains. There you go.
Sit back down, shut the fuck up. Right, move on.
Let's go to the better brother. Right.
I'll buy another bottle tomorrow, Ali.
Right, Skywalker, you kick us off this one.
Right. So this is actually I had another one, and this story came today. So it was a 47-year-old Scottish ultra runner by the name of how do you pronounce her name? Jessica Zarowaski.
It's a good Scottish name.
Exactly, I know, Scottish, but she was in the Commonwealth Games representing Scotland. But this was just the weekend. She was doing an ultra marathon race from Manchester to Liverpool, and it turned out, and she finished third, received a medal. But on her Strava, there was an inconsistency where it actually turned out that she jumped in a car and drove for 2.5 miles. Well, actually, her friend drove for 2.5 miles. But so she explained herself and said that she was going to pull out of the race, so she jumped in the car and drove to the nearest sort of turning
Marshall
point.
point,
It was
wasn't it?
Marshall Point. Sorry, that's it, Marshall Point. And the marshal apparently says, "Oh, you'll never forgive yourself if you quit. Keep running." So she got out the car and continued to run and got third place. So, but instead of not, and she said at the time, I was going to say no, or that to count me as a non-runner, but she accepted the medal. She got photographs taken with it and everything like that. So, but it was the marshals afterwards were checking her Strava thing and seen that she'd done 2.5 miles in about a minute and a half or something. So, so yeah, she's my zero for this
Hold
week.
on, it's supposed to be. Is she the hero?
No, she's the zero.
What? She's a hero.
I was thinking, don't pretend you wouldn't have done that.
Jeez, I would have done the whole race. 50 miles, and she only did 2.5 miles.
No, it's like she could have gone a bit further in the car.
In this day and age, you can get away with that.
She only came third.
Your Strava said you've done 2.5 miles in 1 minute. You can't have done that. It's humanly impossible. Like, I did. Donald Trump does it all the time, man. Just like, nah, fucking completed it. Right, okay, my one's going to be short and sweet. Actually, not a big fan of snooker, right? But I ended up watching a bit of it the weekend, and then there's that Fanny from Stop the Oil. Right? I'm all for like, looking after the environment, and this guy called Edward Whittingham just decides to jump on the fucking table and throw like orange powder all over the place. Is this because that's obviously going to stop people using oil? This Fanny jumping on a table. What was it? I seen on Twitter someone said it was like someone announcing like a baby being an Ulsterman. It's just this orange. So that guy's just for being an absolute mess of a person and just missing it completely. Edred wanker. Done.
At first, it's like, what has snooker got to do with it anyway?
What?
What's snooker got to do with any of that anyway? Like, why?
Exactly. I know
snooker?
they're looking for like exposure on that, but I mean, come on, it's a game of snooker. Like, there's about 10 people watching it.
The punishment should be to make him sit and watch the rest of the match.
Plus, he looks like an absolute virgin as well, man. So that's another box for a zero. So anyway, Gebel.
Oh dear. Mine's actually kind of similar. Mine's the Animal Rising protesters at the Grand National on Saturday. And just their complete lack of awareness and knowledge of horse racing, and the fact that like thoroughbred horses are probably the most well looked after athletes, if you will, of any kind of sport. Like the care and attention that goes into those horses, and they completely fucked up the whole thing by their protests. And you heard one of the owners and trainers of the Horse Hill 16 that died saying that those protesters probably actually contributed to that horse not making the jump and dying. And then I heard a radio interview where one of the trainers was on with one of these Animal Rising folk, and the guy's like, "It's 50,000 thoroughbred horses in the UK. You want to stop horse racing? What are you going to do with them?" And the guy was like, "Oh, we'd stop breeding." And he was like, "No, but there's 50,000 of them. What do you want to do with them?" And he couldn't answer the question. They're just so ill-informed, and they just seemed like trust fund babies looking for a bit of attention. So, rant over. They're my zeros.
So, Flash, what's it going to be?
A tricky one, actually. They're all zeros, that's for sure. Well, one's a partial hero. But I think she could have done much better, to be honest.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But then, hang on, I think I might go back on that. We'll see. Because I think if you go like the Grand National, they were trying to, delay it for as long as possible, or even make the race not go ahead was their goal. Ultimately, they did fail. The race was run. The snooker, the guy hopped on the table, made an arse of himself. I don't really see what it was linked with, but again, they kind of cleaned it up and it went ahead. Whereas the ultramarathon, she won a medal.
Yeah. not anymore. Not anymore.
I wish she got top, but she could have done much better. Like, I mean, I'm intrigued like how far she still had to go. Like, you're about to give up, and it's an ultramarathon. You've only done 2.5 miles in a car. There's, It's
I
50
just-
miles. Like, it's
I
still
just-
a bloody long way.
I honestly just love that moment of her being offered a medal and thinking,
Taking it, yeah.
I'll give this back in a minute.
I think ultimately that's what it comes down to for me. It's the sheer audacity to accept the medal, the photos, and everything until she gets caught because so I'm going ultra marathon.
Oh, Flash, that's my first point in about 400 podcasts. Yes.
But I take that back.
No, you cannot, because I'm going to go buy a whole stack of that whiskey tomorrow.
Well done, lads. Well done.
Thank you.
In fair, I don't think there was 2 zeros. I think it was just 2 heroes, really. Yeah. Nice. Well, listen, conscious of time, lads, so we will move on to our final round, which is speed round. So obviously we've got 2 years. So, most podcasts would have some noise cancelling thing. What I'm going to ask you to do is old school. Will you do this? And earmuffs. So we're going to go with Ali first this time. And we're going to have 10 questions, quick fire questions. And whatever comes to
Or just Flash, just mute us. Can he not just do that?
He definitely won't.
Say, oh yeah. All the way I know he's not listening, he does this.
He could.
Right, so, okay, are we ready to rock, Ali?
Right, earmuffs Flash.
Right. So your brother's an Entourage character. Who is he?
Oh, drama.
What is your favourite ever whiskey you've tried?
Oh. Oh, no, this is definitely not a speed round now.
Yeah, this is just a question round then, mate.
Aye. Oh, Christ, I don't know.
Or a good one then. A good one. Like expensive one.
What's your go-to?
I don't know. A good go-to, I guess, the one that we grew up with in the house would have been Old Pulteney 12, and I'll always have a soft spot for that, so go that.
Okay. Who is your favourite superhero?
I'll go Batman, but I'm not a huge superhero guy.
Okay. If there was someone making a movie of your life, who would play you?
I'll go Brad Pitt.
Of course.
Believable.
If you had a boat, maybe you do, but if you had a boat, what would you call it?
Oh, Sweet Dram.
Sweet Dram, nice. Okay. Who's your biggest man crush?
Probably DiCaprio.
Oh, debonair.
Too old for him.
What is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Pistachio.
Oh, fucking hell, all right. Favorite holiday destination?
Yeah. I'll go Madeira.
Madeira, okay. Last fancy dress outfit?
Oh, Jesus, it could have been Anchorman with you.
No, was it maybe not your stag do?
Oh, aye, Shania Twain. Aye.
What that one? Last question. Who's the most famous person in your phone book?
I've got no idea. There's literally nobody famous coming to my mind right now, so I'll just go with that. No, nobody famous coming to mind.
I've got a 9 out of 10.
First one.
Go on old school rugby one, John Welsh.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
There we go. Right, Flash, you can come back.
Yeah.
Hi, mate.
My ears are sore.
I know. We were just going to leave you there for about a good 10 minutes and see how stupid you look.
The longest I've had my arms like that.
that was a speed round.
Sorry.
I know, that didn't seem very quick.
Right, Ali, you can listen because it's absolutely
You've done it.
I don't think so. Okay, those earmuffs.
Right. Okay, you ready to rock?
As ready as I'll ever be.
So, question 1, your brother's an Entourage character. Who is he?
He's going to see Vince, but I'm going to go Johnny.
Nice. What's your favourite ever whiskey that you've tried?
I'll go Pulteney 12 because that's the one I started with.
Jesus. Okay, who's your favourite superhero?
Oh, you don't need to ask that.
Yes, I do.
Flash Gordon.
Good, Flash Gordon. Good. Who would play you in a movie of your life?
I'm not good with actors.
You can be an actress if you want.
I'm not good at them either. I don't know, Christian Bale.
Oh,
I was going to say McConaughey or Bale.
that's a good one.
I'd say that.
If you had a boat, what would you call it?
Think it's something whiskey related, but I'll just go with whiskey just now.
Right, okay. Jeez, well, this is fucking freaky. Who's your biggest man crush? Long list.
There's 3 on here.
Hold on, but there's
Joy Skywalker.
Oh.
Oh wait, you're brothers. That's weird. Sorry.
I have no idea.
This is like the easier question than a woman crush.
I know.
You can go woman crush if you want.
Eh?
You can go woman crush if you want.
No, I'll stay with a man crush.
Safe option, mate.
We haven't said James Eddy for a while, have we?
That's the first time he's made this list.
He's back. Right, okay. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Oh, vanilla. Strong vanilla.
Right, okay. Favorite holiday destination?
Oh. I think I would go back to honeymoon South Africa.
Oh,
Nice.
Good choice.
And who's the? Oh, so yeah. What's your last fancy dress outfit?
It's probably on Ali Stag, one of the Blues Brothers.
Yeah. What a trip. And who's the most famous person in your phone book?
There is nobody famous in my phone book.
It has to be someone. What about rugby?
Rugby, I'll get Jackals on there.
there you go.
He's famous enough. No golf, guys. You must know some golf people.
Tiger Woods.
Not modern.
Sam Torrance.
Ernie Els.
I used to play with Sam Torrance's son. So
Oh, there you go.
He's famous by default, right? So
There you go.
right.
Take it.
Is he called Sandy too?
No,
Sam.
Dan.
Who's Sam? Who's Sandy Torrance then?
Fuck
Sandy
knows.
Lyle.
Sandy, you're getting 2 guys mixed up there.
Never thought I was going to win this speed round on speed
I know, exactly.
I don't think that's my fault though. Yeah.
You just need to go and find some famous pals, mate. That's come down to. That's us, right? I'll give you both 10 out of 10. Got there in the end. But I think we need to rename this round because
The moderately paced question round.
just questions. Right, cool. Well, I think unless you guys have got anything, I'm pretty happy with that. I really enjoyed that. That was great to have you on, guys.
It's great to
Last question.
Oh,
Both of you. We have our We Back Bar podcast playlist on Spotify, where we get a different tune from everyone that comes on. So what would be the go-to tunes for you boys?
Want me first, Gordon, or do you want me?
Oh, you take it.
I don't know. I've had the Doors Break On Through in my head for a few days, so I'll go with that.
Doors Break On. Adding it as we speak.
I think I'm
going
to go really boring and actually just put Joy.discovery.invention on there.
Thank God for that, man. I was expecting it to be like Purple Haze or something. I wasn't expecting like fucking the Doors. Is this something into what's coming next?
Get it on. You'll enjoy it.
Well,
That's some classic music right there.
well, listen, lads. It was an absolute pleasure having you on. Obviously, I've already immersed myself in the new merch, right? So, but yeah, best of luck, and hopefully, if you decide to have a pop-up and you need some people to come and talk shit, then those two can go and do it.
Because you'll be asleep in the disabled toilets after.
What a baldy chest. No, listen, thank you very much, lads. Great to have you on, and yeah,
It's
we'll
a pleasure.
Brilliant. No, thanks
man.
very much, guys, and yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
Minnie and Gemmell, for buying bottles. Appreciate it.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Telling me.
We've got a wee sample set put away for the back bar team as well. So next time,
Oh, my boy.
Oh,
No, you shouldn't have said that. Now he's going to wait and not buy
couple
any.
of
No,
sweethearts.
no. I'll be in there tomorrow. I'll be in there. I'll take a little. You'll get a little Instagram selfie tomorrow.
See, the one good thing is I would just fucking guilted him into buying a bottle. That's great. Thanks very much, lads, and we'll catch up with you soon.
nice
Right.
one.
Good
Good
Guys.
stuff.
Thanks,
Cheers, boys.
guys.
Thank you.
Actually learned a lot tonight, guys.
So did I. That was really good.
Yeah. I think
I
that's.
feel like
Oh, sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, Flash made me feel really good about my learning plates with whiskey, about the palate and all that stuff. Put as much ice in.
Sorry.
Oh.
He texted me earlier just saying, Fanny. That's all I said.
I was even talking about Ali not buying anything yet.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, well, that's the thing is, I've not always liked whiskey. I started to like whiskey, but everything I know about whiskey is from those two guys. And as I said, it can go from, holding something that makes you want to spew to taking something that you go, oh my God, that tastes, really good. And you can just find your palate, find your taste. But good on those two guys for just taking a chance. As I said, it's, there's not a lot of people that would foresee the future and build up a business. So I can only imagine those two are going to be successful.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, big time. I don't know why they didn't just start a podcast instead, but fair play to them.
Because they get to drink whiskey every day.
Everyone handles lockdown differently.
And
You also make a fucking quid off it.
yeah, I feel like I've done mine the wrong way. Start a podcast and get a Peloton bike. Yeah.
What are we doing with our lives, man? I'm just sitting here like a plucked turkey. And they've got a fucking whiskey business, man.
That's it. Well, at least we're friends with them, and we'll just hold on to their coattails as they fly up into the stratosphere.
That's it. Just 3 wee hangers on.
We might get to do the launch in Bristol while they'll get the big guys. You'll get Coisty will do the launch in Taiwan,
Send us down because they know we're going to get a fucking doing down in Bristol.
Oh my God.
Oh dear. Well, that's another one in the bag, lads. Hopefully, a couple of wee things pulling away at the moment. Hopefully, we're going to have something fucking exciting in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah.
Hopefully. But let's not jinx it because I think I've already jinxed it. But let's wait and see. Let's wait and see.
Let's not count our plucked chickens.
That's so good, Gemma. That's using this. That's using up top.
Mm-hmm. Plus, turkeys have got a bit more girth about them, so I'm feeling more turkey than chicken at the moment. Thank you. But yeah, that was fun.
That was really good fun. I enjoyed it.
I'm choking for another whiskey.
And if anyone is thinking of needing to top up the whiskey collection, genuinely, this turntable, I've only tried track 1, but it's absolutely dynamite.
This is usually the part where I say, like, if you're looking for discount codes, let us know and we'll get you a discount. But I paid fucking full price, so you're paying full price. So no discount codes. Just go out and buy it. It's worth it.
Yeah, that's it. Go buy it.
There you go. Right, gents. A pleasure as always. Well done on your wins on Heroes and Zeros. That's 2 in a row that I've not won a thing. So rest assured, I am going to be on my fucking A game. I'm going to have the biggest sob story in the world next time.
I know.
Yeah, so I'm ready for you next time.
Just be careful what you're googling. So babies and burning buildings. It's like just be.
Don't you worry about my search history.
So I'll get put on a watch list.
Yeah, that's it. He's a man that knows how to delete his search history. So, right.
Anyway,
boys.
Lads, have a good evening.
Converse again soon.
Yeah, we will be back with another episode, hopefully within the next probably 2 or 3 weeks, and it might be something a little bit.